My dad damaged a modification in my home, then randomly implied my nephews would move in with me. Now my brother and I are trying to figure out if he's confused or just being manipulative again. A few days ago, my dad came over to my house. For context, it's the first time he's been here in quite a while. Since his last visit, which was actually back when we first moved in, a lot has changed. My husband and I have put so much work into renovating and modifying the space to fit our lives and our bodies better. See, I have a nervous system condition that, thankfully, I've learned to manage quite well most days. I'm lucky, but when it flares, it makes even simple tasks feel insurmountable. Managing my health and functioning long-term means being mindful of activities or environmental triggers that could cause a crash or exacerbate symptoms. My husband also has his own challenges. He has hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and between the two of us, we've had to get creative and intentional about how we live in our space. So before we started the renovations, we sat down together and made a long, careful list of accommodations that would make our day-to-day lives smoother and less taxing. Things like soft-close cabinetry, motorized shelving, grab rails disguised as towel racks, low-threshold doorways, and custom pull-down storage, all tweaks that make seemingly small tasks exponentially easier on tough days. We either DIY'd them over many weekends or hired contractors to get the jobs done when needed. I'm proud of what we created. More than that, it has improved our quality of life dramatically. I crash less often. I have more consistent energy. My husband, too, finds himself able to do more and recover faster. It's not just a house to us anymore. It's a space that supports our bodies instead of fighting against them. It feels like safety, like autonomy. He's been ecstatic with the changes. Honestly, it's one of the first times in a long time that we both feel like our home fits us. So when my dad walked in and almost immediately started commenting on all the renovations, well, I guess I wasn't totally surprised, but I wasn't expecting the level of disapproval he brought with him. He didn't like it. Pretty much from the start, he kept pointing out things he thought were odd or overkill or unnecessary. He made jokes, the kind that don't feel much like jokes, about how nobody's going to want to buy this house later, and you'll make it impossible to resell if you keep putting in this niche stuff. I kept reminding him gently that we aren't planning to sell, not anytime soon anyway, and that these changes were for us, not for an imaginary future buyer. But he wouldn't drop it. The whole time we were supposed to be catching up, meeting my foster dog that he was considering adopting, and just enjoying the visit, it turned into him rattling off all the ways our house was too weird or too specialized. I tried, several times, to redirect the conversation back to neutral or positive topics. My foster dog, the garden, how his work was going, anything. But it was like he couldn't stop fixating. He started getting worked up about it, which, honestly, is pretty out of character for him in person. He's not usually someone who raises his voice or pushes this hard over house decor of all things. Anyway, after we walked the dogs and came back inside, I excused myself to quickly use the bathroom. I was gone maybe 3 minutes. When I came back into the kitchen, I found him standing by one of the adaptations, a pull-down shelving mechanism we installed in one of the upper cabinets to make reaching items easier on days when neither of us can stretch or balance well. He had clearly been trying to yank it out of the wall. He hadn't broken it, thankfully, but the surrounding wall area had been scuffed and dented badly enough that we'll need to sand and repaint it now. My stomach dropped when I saw it. I just stood there quietly for a moment, trying to process. I didn't yell at him. I didn't even raise my voice. I just asked, "Dad, what are you doing?" He got defensive right away. Said he just wanted to see how it worked, said it didn't look safe, said it couldn't possibly be stable, and that I shouldn't be trusting things like that in my house. I didn't argue. I told him firmly that it was fine, that it's been installed properly and inspected, and that if he had questions he could have asked instead of pulling at it. But internally, I felt crushed. Not even so much because of the scuff marks, we can fix those, but because it felt like a weird breach of trust. Like I'd invited him into my home, into a space I built intentionally to help myself and my partner live better lives, and instead of understanding or even just tolerating it, he tried to physically dismantle it. I haven't really unpacked yet why this hit me so hard, but it did. Maybe it's because I'm the only blood-related woman on my dad's side of the family, and somewhere deep in me is the unspoken expectation that I'm supposed to smile and be accommodating and make sure everyone else is comfortable, even at the expense of myself. Maybe it's because, on some level, it feels like he didn't believe me or trust me to make decisions about my own home and my own body's needs. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's more. I wish I could say I handled the moment gracefully, but I didn't. When I walked back into the kitchen and saw what he was doing, tugging on something I had installed so carefully, something I rely on day to day, I just kind of snapped. I was shocked, and honestly, I think I got a little hysterical in my reaction. My voice shot up without me meaning it to, and before I could think twice, I yelled, "What the hell are you doing, Dad? What's your problem?" He backed off fast, hands up like he'd been caught with them in the cookie jar. "I just wanted to see if it was removable. Sorry. It's just too weird. It's too weird. It's just not going to work when Billy and Bobby move in with you." I remember just standing there for a beat, my brain glitching like a scratched record. Billy and Bobby? My nephews? Move in with me? What? My brother's boys are sweet kids, but what on earth was he even talking about? Nobody, not once, has ever mentioned the idea of them staying with me long term, let alone moving in. There's never been an ask, never been a hint of a plan like that. Even if, God forbid, something tragic happened to my brother and sister-in-law, I'm almost positive I'd be far down a very long list of potential guardians before anyone ever came knocking on my door about taking in 2 kids. So for him to blurt that out, and with so much frustration and certainty, like it was an inevitable fact, I was floored. I asked him to clarify. Repeatedly. I was still rattled from him damaging the kitchen, and now my mind was spinning with this curveball. Every time I asked him what he meant, he just brushed me off, waved his hand like I was making too much of it, and told me to forget it. Don't worry about it. I didn't mean anything by it. I didn't want to drop it. I pressed him again. I told him, clearly, that I had zero plans or desire to have my nephews living with me, no offense to them, and that as far as I knew, there was no situation in which that would even be a possibility. Why would he bring it up? Why say something like that out of nowhere? He wouldn't budge. He just repeated, "Well, honey, it's a massive house. You have room for 2 boys." Like that was somehow a logical reason to drop a bomb like that into the middle of an already tense visit. I asked him straight up why he'd even mentioned something like that, but after that, he clammed up for good. Just shook his head and muttered, "Forget I ever said anything." No explanation. No backtracking. Nothing. He did, for what it's worth, apologize for messing with the wall. Right after that, he pulled out his phone and zelled me more money than I would ever need to fix the scratch. Like an almost comically large amount for what was realistically going to be a small paint job. Then, as if nothing strange had just happened, he said, "Come on, let's get lunch," like we'd planned. The rest of the day. Pretty normal, honestly. We ate. Talked about the foster dog again. He was in good spirits. I didn't bring up the comment again, partly because I felt like I was still spinning from it, and partly because I didn't want to derail the rest of the visit. But now that a few days have passed, I can't get it out of my head. The whole exchange is stuck on loop in the back of my mind. I'm annoyed. More than annoyed, I'm unsettled. Why did he say that? What was he getting at? Does he know something I don't? Or was it just a weird offhand comment with no weight behind it? The more I thought about it, the more my head spun. Honestly, the whole thing made me feel sick to my stomach. First of all, and I kept circling back to this, my dad has never acted that way in my brother's homes. Never. Not once. My brother's done all kinds of renovations and DIY projects over the years. Some of them are a little unconventional too, nothing wild, but still. My dad's reaction in those cases? Mild curiosity at most. Sometimes a compliment. Maybe a light chuckle and a, "Well, that's interesting" sort of comment. He has never walked into my brother's house and started poking, prodding, or damaging anything under the guise of "it's too weird," or "what about resale value?" So yeah, I couldn't help but feel that part of why he felt so entitled to critique and physically tamper with my home is because it's my house. Because I'm a woman. Because deep down, maybe in ways he doesn't even fully realize, he doesn't respect my space the same way he respects my brother's. Maybe, to him, my house is less mine and more a placeholder for whatever future family obligations he imagines I should shoulder. And yeah, that sucks. It makes me feel small and dismissed, like all the hard work I've put into making this house a safe, functional, joyful place for me and my husband doesn't count in the same way. Like it's temporary or provisional, waiting to be repurposed for someone else's needs. But as much as that gender disrespect stung, it was still secondary to the other thing. What the hell was he talking about with Billy and Bobby? The more I replayed it, the weirder it felt. Was my dad just making a weird, offhand comment? Was it a clumsy joke? Or was there something more going on? Was there some unspoken plan brewing in the background of my family that I didn't know about? I knew that it wouldn't be the first time my family casually assumed I'd step in to take care of the kids, without so much as asking me. Back when they were younger, it happened constantly. I'd find out last minute that I was expected to babysit because you work from home or you don't have kids, you have more free time. Assumptions that were wildly inaccurate and wildly disrespectful of my boundaries. And every single time, I made it explicitly clear that even casual babysitting wasn't something I was up for. Not because I don't love my nephews, I do, but because I have carefully calibrated my life to be sustainable for me. And that means not taking on caregiving roles that I don't consent to and can't sustain. So yeah, the more I thought about it, the more paranoid I got. Was there some plan? Was something happening that I didn't know about? Was Dad trying to float the idea and gauge my reaction before presenting something bigger? I couldn't get it out of my head. Eventually, I couldn't take the speculation anymore. I decided the cleanest, simplest thing to do was to just ask my brother directly. Rip the band-aid off and get clarity. So I called him. I laid the whole situation out for him as calmly as I could. I told him about Dad's visit, about the weird comment, and about my concerns. And, to his credit, my brother didn't get defensive or weird. He seemed genuinely surprised. I could hear the confusion in his voice, like he was trying to mentally rewind through every conversation he'd had with Dad to figure out where on earth this idea could have come from. He flat out told me he had absolutely no idea why Dad would imply something like that. He said he had never expressed anything even remotely like that to our father. He seemed sincere. I believe him. I pressed a little further because I needed to cover all my bases. I asked him point blank, is there any possible reason Dad would think I need to take in Billy and Bobby? Is there some crisis brewing that I don't know about? Are you sick? Is your marriage in trouble? Is there something Dad thinks he needs to pre-solve without bothering to consult either of us? My brother reassured me firmly that there is nothing like that going on. No illness. No divorce. No secret disaster looming that would suddenly require the boys to relocate to my house. He acknowledged, like I already knew, that in the incredibly unlikely event that something catastrophic did happen, I'd be nowhere near the top of the list of guardians. He knows I run 2 businesses out of my home. He knows I have significant health considerations. He knows I've been crystal clear for years that I am not in a position to take his kids and unless it is the absolute last safe resort. He didn't waffle or hedge. He didn't sound like someone keeping a secret. He sounded baffled. When I got off the phone, I felt relief, yes, but also frustration. Because, okay, now I know he isn't plotting something behind my back. That's good. But that just leaves me circling back to square one. What the hell was Dad talking about? Was it a weird, baseless comment with no foundation? Just a stray, intrusive thought that slipped out with more weight than he realized? Or is he imagining future scenarios that no one else has discussed and preemptively making plans in his head that have nothing to do with reality? I don't know. I still don't know. And I'm still annoyed that I have to be thinking about it at all. After I got off the phone with my brother, I sat there for a long time, still turning everything over in my head. He had assured me there was no secret reason for Dad to be thinking about Billy and Bobby moving in with me. No illness, no looming divorce, no behind-the-scenes issue. Nothing that would explain Dad blurting that out so emotionally charged. My brother even emphasized, like I'd assumed, that if something were to happen, I wouldn't be anywhere near the top of the list of people to take the boys in. Both because of my health and because I run 2 businesses from home. It just didn't make sense. We both agreed our older brother would say the same. None of us had noticed any real signs of cognitive decline in Dad. His memory is intact. He handles his daily life just fine, and he still does all the complicated tasks he's always done. No slips, no forgetfulness, no confusion. But even with all that, this outburst was weird enough that we couldn't ignore it. The real complication is that Dad has always been a bit of a schemer. Not malicious exactly, but manipulative. He gets fixated on certain ideas, what he thinks is best for the family, what he imagines should happen, and then he quietly works to push things in that direction. Sometimes through small lies, sometimes through triangulating conversations behind people's backs. He's always meant well, but he's been full of it more times than I can count. So now we're stuck in this uncomfortable spot where we have to ask, is this forgetfulness, or is it just Dad doing what Dad does? My brother volunteered to confront him first. We both know the conversation has to be clear but careful. Dad, it's important that you're completely honest. Are you confused and forgot something real, or are you trying to steer things like you sometimes do? We need to know whether we should worry about your brain, or just recognize this is another one of your plans. If it's the latter, we'll deal with it like we always have, setting boundaries, shutting it down. If it's the former, though, it means we need to start paying close attention to his cognitive health. Neither option is fun, but it's better to face it head-on than let it hang over us like this. It's frustrating. More than anything, I hate that I'm even in this situation, that as his daughter, it feels like he respects my home and my choices less than he would my brother's. And now, on top of that, I'm left feeling anxious and suspicious because of one bizarre comment I didn't ask for and can't explain away. For now, we wait to see what Dad says. I just hope we get a clear answer, one way or the other.